question for you. What are you doing July 8th?
I think I'm gonna get up kind of early.
Yeah.
Maybe make sure I got everything I need for. I think I'm gonna go on a road trip that day.
Yeah, where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go pick up a Danger Kid, and maybe the rest of the Maine State Posse. I'm gonna pick up Aiden Agro and Alexander Lee. And I don't know where you're gonna be.
I'll find my way.
Yeah, you need to be down here somewhere because I'm not driving to pick your ass up.
Yeah, because we're gonna go to the Wrestlers Lab show out in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey.
That's right.
And tonight we've got the two men behind Wrestlers Lab. We've got Chris and Mike on the show tonight, and we're gonna talk to them a little bit about how Wrestlers Lab came about and a whole bunch of conversation about Labnormal, which we're really excited to go see.
We've only got one more podcast before we wrap this thing up.
That's right. And next week's gonna be a good one. We're gonna end the Labnormal series next week with a good interview. It's gonna be a good one. So we'll leave.
Just remember, next week you're gonna have to edit and get this thing out as soon as possible because Friday night you're gonna be busy also.
Oh yes, Friday night I will be busy. Man, that's a kickoff of that crazy weekend. So yeah, Friday night I'm gonna hit up Let's Wrestle up in Orono. It's gonna be their I want to say debut show, but I guess comeback show because they did exist before. Correct?
Yeah, it's a little like repackaging.
Yeah, a little reboot. So I'm really excited about that show as well. So we're gonna go check out Let's Wrestle up in Orono on the 6th, Friday the 6th. So
correct. If we're gonna be in Jersey on Sunday the 8th, for Friday would be.
Math is tough. So
listen, I once told everybody that I was going to a show on a Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Anyway, before we dive in with Chris and Mike, let's get some quick plugs out of the way. Listeners at home, you guys can check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Main Event Pod. We're on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio. We have a hotline. If you guys want to give us a ring, leave us a message, send us a text. That number is 929-260-3099. And then we've got a Teespring store if you guys are interested in some Main Event Pod merch. Harmon, we've got some tank tops up available.
We do. I haven't put a link up yet, though.
Well, we are going to make a post and get some eyes on that bad boy because that design is straight fire. That our good buddy Dalton Hemingway, who will be coming with us to the Let's Wrestle show, by the way. You know who else? You know who else might come to the Let's Wrestle show? Who texted me today? Who's going to come to the Let's Wrestle show? Meet us there. Dave Dyer, former guest of the show.
Damn, Dave. All right.
Yep. Former guest of the show, sports writer for the Kennebec Journal, Mr. Dave Dyer. Going to check out some Let's Wrestle. So he will be there as well. But anyway, back to Teespring. Go to our Teespring store. Check out our dope designed tank tops by Mr. Dalton Hemingway and buy them. Sport them this summer. It's going to be so hot coming up. I'm taking a trip to Florida soon. I'm going to be wearing one down there. It's going to be crazy. You might recognize the logo a little bit for fans of wrestling, but it's nice. Let's see. Speaking of logos and speaking of apparel, strongstylebrand.com/maineventpod. That is a website that you should go to and load up your cart full of stuff and use code maineventpod at the checkout, and you're going to get 10% off, and a little bit of that dough gets kicked back our way. So it's a good way to support the podcast. It's a good way to, support your dope wardrobe, I guess. So, because they've got some awesome things in their new summer line. So very, very cool stuff coming from Strong Style Brand. Get it.
Yeah. If you had asked me 5 years ago that what I'd be wearing in 5 years, an entire wardrobe made up of wrestling t-shirts was not it, but it has become that.
Yes. I know. I constantly have to go buy new hangers to put them on because I have so many. I was thinking about maybe doing a clean out.
I'm torn now because I'm starting to take some of my older ones and turning them into tank tops. And I'm like, ooh, do I want to cut this one? Geez, I guess so. All right.
See, I like tank tops just as tank tops and not so much like cutoffs, like muscle shirts.
Well, you're not a fat guy, so.
Well, okay.
Fat guys love cutoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking I need to do a little clean out too of the t-shirts. Maybe I'll try and sell some for super cheap if anybody wants some.
I have some in storage too that I forgot about.
Nice. I don't know if anybody would be interested in Johnny Fashion worn wrestling t-shirts for cheap, but
size medium.
Some schmediums, but I will sell them for a price. But anyway,
they still got that fresh Johnny stank on them.
Fresh Johnny stank. No, I promise I'll wash them, or not per people's request. That's fine too. Whatever you guys want. So that's about it for plugs. I mean, we're gonna talk Wrestlers Lab all episode.
I kind of want to plug a new podcast.
What's your new podcast you want to plug?
It's not my new podcast. It's Rich Palladino's new podcast. Let the Chaos Begin.
Let the Chaos Begin.
It's on the NAI Pop Network. And it's called Let the Chaos Begin. Rich goes through with Jamie Jamakowski about their Jamie's run owning chaotic wrestling. It's pretty cool.
Wow, nice. Very cool. There's another new podcast out. Have you caught wind of this yet? Top Shelf Troy Nelson's new podcast?
I have. I haven't listened to it yet, but
oh my goodness. Off the Hop Rope?
Off the Hop Rope. We're gonna have to listen to this next weekend because we're gonna have like a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I haven't listened to it yet. It's on the agenda. They've released I think 4 episodes. And it's very cool. I love the premise of it. It's so they watch a classic wrestling match and they drink some craft beer. And it is who is it here? I know it's
Smart Mark Sterling.
Yeah.
CPA.
Yep. Top Shelf.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're looking to get some guests on there, but I would definitely, in a heartbeat, Top Shelf, come on that show and watch a classic wrestling match because I am a big fan of classic wrestling matches and drinking beer. So
yeah, I can see you right now sitting there with a growler from Norway Brewing Company.
Oh, dude, I get to hook up at Norway Brewing Company. They just released in bottles, in 4-pack bottles called Inglorious Bastard, and it's very good. It's a farmhouse pale ale. It's so fucking good. It's so good. And I just had their I Heart Mom, which is one of the smoothest porters I've ever had in my life. It's so good. It is so fantastic. So Top Shelf, if you're listening, I will bring that down to wherever you are, and I will drink this with you.
I wish the Nice Brewery had some more of their basalt porter, because porter is one of those beers where if it's done right, it is one of the best drinking beers you can have. I mean,
yeah,
smooth, dark, bunch of good flavors. If it's done wrong, it's like, get that out of my face. I don't ever want to touch a porter again.
Yep. And then what are some of the other podcasts that we need to say thank you to? They support us. The Limitless Wrestling Podcast, obviously. They're always mentioning us.
The Wrestling Podcast About Nothing.
Wrestling Podcast About Nothing. Our boys over there. Mind of a Geek.
Living the Gimmick.
Living the Gimmick. That's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, Harmon, let's bring in Mike and Chris. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Should we do it? All right. Listeners, this is Mike and Chris from the Wrestlers Laboratory. We're going to talk Labnormal and all kinds of other fun wrestling stuff. So give it a listen. Here you go.
Boss man on the show.
Wrestlers Laboratory, Chris and Mike. What is going on tonight, boys?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Man, this has been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
Harmon and I, very proud sponsors of the Labnormal show you guys have coming up. And we thought it'd be a good idea to get you guys on the show and chat about, how...
This is year 2, Johnny. We also sponsored last year's.
We did.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You guys actually sponsored the show where we crowned the first ever Nucleus champion.
Excellent. Yes. Very cool. Yeah. So this year, a little bit more involvement though on our end. You know, we're like I like that we're getting some of the wrestlers that are going to be at Labnormal on our podcast. It's very cool. I love the way that it's worked out. And
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously, a big thank you to you guys because you know you guys are supplying us with like plenty of content, which is really it's really great and it's really fun too. It's really fun to kind of meet some of these guys who maybe we haven't seen before and give our listeners around Maine and around New England a little taste of what else is out there. So, and I know that you guys have guys coming from all over the country to Labnormal. So it's been nice to kind of get some of those guys on there and kind of get them a little bit more exposure up this way in the Northeast. So
yeah, I was really happy when I saw you guys interview Chris Henry.
Yeah, he was great, man. The name Hype, definitely he lives up to the hype because he was like super pumped and just super happy to come on, and it was really fun. He had a lot of energy and it made it for a really easy interview. Those are the best ones. So
yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, like I said, man, we wanted to get you guys on, talk about kind of how Wrestlers Lab came about, the plans for the show, kind of just a little meet and greet with you guys, and give our listeners a kind of an inside look at Wrestlers Lab. So let's kind of start there. How did Wrestlers Laboratory come about between the two of you?
Chris, I think you can answer that a little better than I can, but I'll tell it from my perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I remember getting a Facebook message because that's almost exclusively how we communicate, even though you have my phone number. Just asking me the question: if you heard of something called Wrestlers Laboratory, what would you think it is? And I basically said something like I said it. I thought it sounded like a training school. And then I think maybe 3 weeks, a month later, there was a Facebook page. And then I think not long after that, I saw the pop up for the first show, Volume 1.
Yeah. It was it basically the funny thing I always say is that like all this stuff that's happened is pretty mind blowing, considering that when I came up with even the name Wrestlers Laboratory, it's just because like I'm a big fan of like old school cartoons, and Dexter's Lab obviously is one of them. So I just was like, oh, that totally works. It rolls right off the tongue. It sounds exactly like Dexter's Laboratory. I'm gonna have this guy make a logo that says Wrestlers Laboratory, and I had no intention of making it into like a promotion at all. I just was like, I need to get this logo made for whatever reason, and yeah, I just was like, that logo needs to exist, and I need to be the owner of it, even though I haven't registered it or anything like that. But
Don't
yeah,
say that
and then
in public.
oh yeah, that's
Some dude's buying it right now.
I misspoke. Actually, I just registered it 5 minutes before this call.
There you go.
Ah, nice save.
But
Save. Totally believable.
yeah. I mean, the logo was created with no intention behind it whatsoever. And then at the time, I was actually working very closely with Tier 1 Wrestling. I used that as the platform to get Wrestlers Laboratory started. So I pitched the idea of running free pre-shows before Tier 1 events. We did it. It succeeded, and it exceeded my expectations. And then not too long after, I asked Mike if he wanted to come aboard as my partner, and the whole thing has kind of just snowballed since then.
Nice. Now, so what are your guys' connection? Are you guys childhood buddies, or how did you guys meet up?
We've known each other. What year is it now? 2018. 12 years.
Yes.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years. Yeah.
We long story short, we actually met at Ring of Honor Final Battle 2006.
Nice.
And just stayed in touch, and here we are today, putting on a full-blown show, full-blown indie show in 10 days or however many days after this makes air.
Yeah. It'll be 9 tomorrow.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you guys are both into you guys said you met at a Ring of Honor show, so you guys were both into wrestling like before you guys met. When did When did you each become fans of pro wrestling? At like an early age?
Yeah, I'm earlier than Mike, which I think is like a cool thing about, like our perspectives on the business.
Mhm.
I would say I've been a fan. It's hard for me to gauge. I know that WrestleMania 13 was my first WrestleMania. Um, and then I went back and I wound up watching 12, which became my favorite WrestleMania, because of the Iron Man match.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm right around that sweet spot of like the first person I saw that caught my eye was Shawn Michaels, and it was like a random match with British Bulldog. So I have no idea what event it was at, but yeah, I'm right around that time period, like pre DX,
Nice. Yep.
And I actually came in late, considering I'm 30. I didn't watch the Attitude Era. Like all my friends, I remember all my friends in third, fourth grade were writing DX Suck It in our desks, and I just didn't watch. I didn't start watching until the summer of 2002, and what really hooked me, who really hooked me, was the Shawn Michaels and Triple H feud.
Excellent.
That I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm good. Mom, I got to get SummerSlam. Please, I got to see this match. And the rest is history.
Nice. I like that Shawn Michaels both it interests both of you, but like two different eras. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and the exact timing of his return for Mike, and for me it was like right around like leading up to when he wound up getting injured the first time around. So it's pretty weird how that worked out.
yeah.
And I don't think we knew that about each other until recently either.
Yeah.
That's funny. I have two buddies who are lifelong friends, but one is like hardcore HBK and the other one is like hardcore Bret Hart. So they just like fight all the time.
Yeah, that's
they're like the screw job, like fuck you.
yeah, but up until recently, where they were able to cry and hug and
Yeah. Every once in a while, like my buddy Dustin will just be like, I don't know, man. Like Brett really got screwed, and the other one will be like, Brett screwed Brett, like settle down. So, Chris, you mentioned that you were kind of helping out, or you were involved with Tier 1. How did you get involved with just like becoming involved? I mean, not going from like a fan perspective to going like, I want to get into a little bit more, just not just watching it. I want to do something in the business.
Yeah, I was trying. I believe at the time I was running a blog, and I was pretty happy with how it was going. But it's not like it was catching fire by any means. It was something that I enjoyed doing, and I've always been a writer. Like that's actually what I went to school for, was journalism.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking for something different to kind of like sink my teeth into, to actually sort of wedge my way into the business. When I saw Tier 1 matches starting to be announced, or like the poster and whatnot, I took notice because the graphics were really good, and that's something that always catches my eye when a show has really awesome graphics. And it was also like a New York promotion, so those two things together, I just said, why not? Like, let me just try to reach out and see what happens. And I did, and so it just kind of went from there. Like I became the writer for all of the events. So anytime there was like match hype that needed to happen, I became the writer for that.
Very cool. I like that.
Now, how do you go about doing a free pre-show? Like, how does that work logistically?
Yes.
I mean, wrestlers
Basically,
aren't going to do it for nothing, are they?
Right. I mean, it's just basically throwing money like into a hole for a little while. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like that's basically what I was doing. It's kind of like I know that I'm gonna have to spend money to get my, to show people what this is. So like the wrestlers were definitely not working for free. They weren't even being asked to work for cheap. They just, what we were doing was getting guys who were on the lower end as far as like experience, or on the lower end as far as exposure. So obviously we, at that point in time, we weren't getting like David Starrs and Joey Janela's like we have on this upcoming show. Cheap plug.
We'll get to
so
it.
yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, it was good because it was like a mutually beneficial thing. Like they were helping me to establish the brand, and I was helping them to basically get out there in front of the tier 1 crowd, which was actually like, a pretty hot promotion for a bit there.
Mhm.
And then also there was the added bonus that all the matches were going to be put online for free, which gives them good footage to be able to like pitch out there to other promoters and kind of get their name out there.
Nice. I love that idea. Who are some of the notables that you kind of caught fire with a little bit before, like some guys that like maybe didn't have exposure at the moment, but I can think of one off the top of my head. I know you guys had Josh Briggs on one of your events, correct?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, and I joke with Chris a lot that that if you pause at the right place and ignore certain details, MJF took off after we booked him, but MJF was going to be who he is, whether or not he had that stop at Wrestler's Lab anyway. And Josh Briggs is very much the same way, where we are just fortunate enough to catch them while they were still on the rise, before like Briggs just got scooped up by Evolve. Like MJF is all over. He's on TV with MLW.
Yeah.
He's CZW World Champion. So it's kind of tough to say that we springboarded guys, because I think we and not to put ourselves down by saying that, I just think that sorry, I'm fumbling over my words.
No problem.
No.
You also had like Flip Gordon on before he went to being on the Elite and hanging out with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Flip was already on ROH at that point.
Yeah, he was. We actually got Flip because of the fact that it was basically like a quick double shot, and I believe I was somewhat instrumental in getting Flip into Tier 1, and this is way before Ring of Honor. I told them to kind of take a look at this kid because I knew that he was going to be something special, and so I think that through that he and I always had like a pretty decent rapport, and that's why he wanted to do that double shot and help us out, which is like I will be forever grateful to him for doing that.
Yeah, he's a great dude. I remember he was probably one of the first guys that like we met like in the first like indie show we went to, just who was like super cool to us. You guys mentioned MJF a few minutes ago. You know who I really want to see MJF take on, just because they're so similar, is a guy that you have on your upcoming card is Richard Holiday. I really want to see MJF versus Richard Holiday, just because I think that, like they're very similar, and I just want to see like which one can be like just the most like brash like person.
Right. Yeah. That
He's the Martin's version.
I did tweet that out today.
Martin's is like a discount store.
Yeah, I love
Maine.
shitting on MJF on Twitter just because it's fun and he's awesome. So I said today that that MJF is the Martin's version of Richard Holiday, and Martin's, I don't know if you guys know, they're probably not anywhere near you, but like they're like a surplus store, like so
right.
They're like a super cheap, like
I guess you could call it he's like the RC Cola version of
yeah, kinda. And I had like all these analogies like for him that I'm gonna still come at him like he's like the Dollar General like in everybody's like shitty town. Like it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna destroy MJF on Twitter.
He's pretty tough though. He's like impervious to insults. You know what I mean? Like he just rolls with anything that you do to him. I remember when everybody started putting out those graphics that show all the promotions that they've worked in, and so MJF put out his with all the promotions all around him, and the lab was missing. So I was like, what the hell? So I think I sent him like some kind of GIF, oh really? And he just was like, he totally no-sold it. Like I think like he just did not respond at all. I was like, oh okay.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
always in character too. We were at a show and he was just staring at Johnny, just staring at him like he's gonna tear him apart. Johnny's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What? Nothing."
Well, I was
What?
just getting a haircut at the time from Brad for the but I was getting a haircut, and I couldn't speed up the haircut. I'm not the one cutting the hair. Come on. He's like,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What he expected, what he wanted you to do was to move your head into the blade or into the trimmer.
Yeah, right. To get it going a little bit faster, just so we
Right.
can get a haircut faster. Yeah, that guy's a dick. So you mentioned some names earlier too of just like people helping along the way with Tier 1, but who has kind of helped you with Wrestlers Lab? Anybody that's like notable that you're like, oh, this person kind of we lean on this guy or person to like, help us with this or.
Well, I would say like first the big thing is the sort of like the evolution of what Wrestlers Lab, like who's responsible for Wrestlers Lab, because at first it was when I pitched it while I was working with Tier 1, it was me for the first 2 events, I believe, just doing it solo. And then I think by the 3rd is when I asked Mike to come in as my partner.
You asked me, I think, right before the 2nd, but you already had everything for the 2nd
taken care of. So basically,
yes,
yeah. So by the 3rd show, it was me and Mike, and then later on down the line, it kind of grew to myself, Mike, and actually my younger brother actually helps us out too.
Okay.
So it's basically like a 3-way. Everything we do is 3-way split, except that he's more on the business end. Like he's just helping us out with costs and whatnot. He's not really like a huge wrestling fan, but he supports me because he knows that this has been my dream. So that's a pretty awesome younger brother.
Absolutely, man. Always
Just like the little brother, helps out all he can, and you leave him off. I get it. You don't even mention.
He's busy. He's a busy guy. I mean, he's 5 years younger than me, but he's a very busy guy. He's like a bar manager, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, it is badass. Nice. Good for him. So Labnormal. You guys got Labnormal coming up. It's your first standalone show. It's not a pre-show. It is your very first standalone show. Very cool. How are you guys feeling about it so far? At this point, right now, today.
I'll let Mike take this one because I think his answer might be more interesting than mine.
I get very nervous before every show. This one more so, just because it is the first time that we're truly stepping out on our own. I know what Chris wants. I know what Chris is expecting me to say, but I'm trying to be a little diplomatic, but kind of like a duck on the pond. Like I'll look calm, especially that day. I'll look calm, but internally I'll be freaking the fuck out until the show is over and I can finally exhale.
I think I think that's just I mean, I can't imagine putting on a show. I mean, everything's riding on it, man. I think you are you're right to be nervous. I mean, I think that if you weren't nervous, there'd be something wrong with you. So
yeah. I'm like a mess. I mean, like I think I'm like outwardly a mess. You know what I mean? Like you can see. My face probably just looks ridiculous. I would love for somebody to follow me around. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Nice friend.
But yeah, it's tough, man, because you want everything to go well, and then inevitably, like at the last minute, there's like 17 things that you just didn't do. But I do think that we're getting better every show. Like Mike is like he keeps me grounded in all the practical stuff. Like I'll be freaking out about this and that, and he'll just be like, "Oh, I have the envelopes right here," or "I have a pen right here," or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's
or give me your car keys and I'll go get the Nucleus Championship 15 minutes before showtime.
Right, exactly.
Yep. There you go. Oh shit, we didn't book refs. Oh no, does anybody have a ref? Can anybody ref?
That's all right. I think we're bringing one down with us. So
yeah.
Speaking of refs, I just want to take a moment to put ref Steven Dumeng over. Like huge because he's been with us since day one, and he's got so much experience, and he's helped so much with like little things that I would have never thought of. Like just timing stuff, and he's just like the ultimate professional, and I'm just gonna put him over while we have this platform.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm gonna butcher his name. So, sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna butcher his last name, but Mark Dundee.
Dundee, I think.
Dundee, yeah. He reffed that one giant leap show in that sweat box of a high school gym. 4 matches by himself, straight through, a 4-corner tag, a fatal 4-way. He did that all by himself. I think he lost 15 pounds during just that first show. But
Oh my goodness.
but
Poor
he's
guy.
he's the best too. We can't say enough nice things about him either.
No, it's good, man. It's good to see like dedicated people come through, man. That's awesome. So what has been like some of the struggles and some of the successes like up until now putting on this show? Like, have you run into anything where you're like, man, we wanted to do this one thing, but it just wouldn't work out, or we wanted to book this one guy, it just didn't work out, or what's been going on that side of things?
Man, the crazy thing is, like, I saw recently, I forget what promotion it was, but they were explaining how like everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and they had to do so many different like switches to their. I think I was reading about. Have you guys heard of Black Label Pro?
Yeah,
I think they're yeah. So I think I was reading about them and a show that they did that was just like a nightmare, and I was so grateful while
It was back in like
it was I think it was called Jar of Flies, and they had like a lot of issues getting that show together, like a lot of last minute cancellations and things like that. And I was like, I felt for them, but at the same time it made me thankful that we haven't gone through much of that. There have been a couple guys that have dropped out, but it was like a couple guys in the Battle Royal. Somebody dropped out of one of the multi-man matches, and so we were able to quickly recover and get some other people in there that were waiting on opportunities. So that's cool, like it's nothing catastrophic, thankfully. So I can't. Mike, do you have anything like any major sort of like speed bumps?
No real major speed bumps, and I do honestly forget the first part of the question, but we have been very fortunate to not have a major like a major monkey wrench thrown into what we want to do. Like we have when we have had cancellations for and we've never gotten a BS excuse for a cancellation. But it's always been with enough time that we can find someone else to fill that spot, and someone who we know is going to deliver, and it's not just going to be another body in a ring.
Yeah, Harmon, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention like that Black Label Pro show. Wasn't there like a snowstorm like a week before? Like leading
that
up to it or
part.
something?
Yeah, that part I don't remember, but it's just so many other things about like the card that they initially designed and how far from it they wound up. But I mean, it goes to show like with indie wrestling, like you have to be able to be resilient and kind of like think on your feet. And also it's good to have like a good network of people that you can kind of like, you always have somebody in your Rolodex that you can call on, that's why our thing is like, we want our relationships with everybody that we work with, everybody that we book, to be as good as they can be. Not everybody is going to come in and want to be like buddies, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just everyone should be treated with respect, and then I think everyone's going to leave having a good experience in their mind, so that next time when you need that person to kind of like pop up out of nowhere for you, they want to, and it's not just like money in an envelope, you know what I mean? Like it's just an actual desire to be a part of your product and to help you.
Yeah, exactly. So the second part of that question that I asked was about successes. Like so far, like what have you guys experienced that you've been like super happy with? I know like you have. I'm sure you guys are happy with this, but you guys have two like really notable people on this card, like really notable in the indie world, and that being David Starr and Joey Janela. I feel like those are your two guys that are like, you know, those are you guys are gonna put the asses in seats, so to speak. But
right.
so, yeah, but like some other guys like Ace Austin is like coming on like super hot right now, and then of course
Right.
of course like Sonny Kiss, you know, is on Lucha now, so like that's very cool. So it's like
It's crazy that it happened exactly 1 week prior to the show, and that's not we actually did not plan that at all. We had no idea. It just was like that worked out like really beautifully. I just tried to go into my apartment and my dogs started going crazy. Sorry.
Hey puppy. No, it's really cool, man. What other successes have you guys experienced, whether it be like talent or just like, you know, like landing a venue or anything like that, where like that just maybe came super easy or anything like that?
I would say I have to give it up to the talent that we're working with, especially some of the guys that we're working with for the first time. Some of these guys that are traveling from so far away, like we've got 2 young guys that are coming from California that are actually putting themselves on planes to get over here to have this opportunity. So working with those guys has been really like incredible, and it's sort of like it never ceases to amaze me how much like indie wrestlers will do when they're really driven and really hungry. So that's something that's like, it actually raises the bar for people that like could like live within 45 minutes of me, and like somehow they're not like putting out as much of an effort as guys that are literally across the entire country. Right. So it's like it's pretty mind-blowing, and it just goes to show that there's like, you don't have to, like, if somebody that you work with, it doesn't pan out, or that person's not like being sort of responsive, or not putting in their part, why even continue to work with that person? Because there's so many other dudes out there that will put in their part. And like, that's what we're learning is like, who's out there that's really gonna like step up, and then who are the people that are sort of like gonna just coast by, you know? And we don't want to work with people that are gonna coast by. Like, and this show is like made up of a lot of people who are stepping up in a huge way.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty apparent too. I mean, some of the names on here are, I mean, one, there's so much talent on the show, which is crazy. I mean, some of the matches have like so many people in them, like 19 people for exactly. But like, I mean, I just look at names that like really stand out. Just guys that I know. There's a bunch on here that I don't know and that I'm really excited to see. But guys that I have seen before that like I'm really excited to see again, or like Wheeler Yuta, Mike Gamble, King Leon the Sixth. I mean, these are guys that I'm like really genuinely excited to like come watch again. Who are some of the guys that are making their debut that you guys are excited that to book or to see perform at Wrestlers Lab?
Take this one, Mike.
Actually, you take it first. We have so many people on the card. I gotta have it in front.
you gotta mull over it a little bit.
I gotta pull the card up and mull it over.
Like,
I mean,
who's a guy that I've... What's that, Harmon?
I'm looking at the card right now, and I'm just looking at guys like Wheeler Yuta. He's traveling all over the place right now.
Right.
You know, Jake Parnell, you know, teaming up with Sonny Kiss. That's going to be awesome. Colossal Mike Law.
Kevin Koo, I'm a big fan of.
Kevin Koo, yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin's been traveling all over.
Yeah, I mean,
Johnny Silver.
The funny thing about that is, like, I didn't realize that the Thick Boys kind of came to be in Limitless, right? Like that, yeah. They started there.
Yeah. Yeah, like they were doing single stuff, and then like they just teamed up in Limitless and kind of created the Thick Boys, and they're like such a crowd favorite. They're amazing. Their shit is so good, and they're absurdly talented wrestlers too. Right.
If not for the fact that like I feel like we've got a pretty good rapport with Carver. Like he's been a supporter of ours since very early on, and vice versa. So if not for that, I feel like I would have been a little bit like worried that I would have been like, oh man, I took their thing, you know. But he was totally cool. He was happy with it. I think he even like retweeted or liked one of the tweets or something.
Yeah, nice.
Kevin Blackwood too. We just saw him for the first time not too long ago. He was awesome.
Yeah,
Blackwood is blowing up, man. That guy is like, he's getting crazy match after crazy match, and that just goes to show like how important it is for some of these guys to have like their home base. You know, like he's at Smash, and Smash obviously like believes in him 1,000% to the point where they're giving him opponents like Mark Haskins and whatnot. You know, like that's like incredible. You know.
And he was supposed to. I think he was supposed to take on Riddle, but I think Riddle had had a travel day from hell and just never made it to the show.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Blackwood is on an awesome track right now, and I'm really glad that he's back. His match at next weekend is going to be pretty incredible. We got him against Tyler Matrix, who's appeared for the lab 3-4 times now.
This is his third.
This will be his
question mark.
No, because he had that first match against Mance Warner, which qualified him for.
It was the 4-way. It was the show,
and then another rematch against Grimm.
Right. So yeah, this is the fourth.
Yeah. So yeah, Matrix is another awesome. Like if you haven't seen any of his stuff like from us, you guys will definitely really like him a lot. And then it's a triple threat with those two and Matt McIntosh, which is like, he's another phenomenal competitor.
Nice. I look forward to it. I think I saw Matrix in that 4-way. Danger Kid was somewhere in there, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
I remember that match. Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, cause remember it was Danger Kid and Mr. Grimm were cutting promos in the hallway in the middle of the show.
Yes.
For the lab.
Yeah, that was nice. Mike, what about you, man? Anybody on the card that you guys have booked who you're super pumped to either debut or just have back?
I mean, besides, you know, I'm happy to have Mason Miles back. We had him when he was classy, Mason Miles, when he had his bottle of champagne, his creamsicle robe, but to have
it's just hearing like those two things together, creamsicle robe, is amazing.
But to see this totally different Mason Miles, it's I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, especially with Yuta, to just see what else he can bring to the table, besides his creamsicle robe. But someone else who's doing a new kind of thing, the Cookie Pimp, who's going to be in the Nucleus 19 Battle Royal. The Cookie Pimp, he just needs to be seen. He needs to be seen.
He's gonna be debuting a new onesie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
so it's gonna be marvelous.
Oh my goodness,
it's gonna be a sight. That's for sure.
What's up with the amount of kings that are in the Nucleus?
Well, we're
kings in there.
We're actually down. We're down one king. One of the guys who unfortunately had to pull out was the Conscious King, Heru.
Yeah.
So some travel complications there, so we won't get to see him. So King, I know King Leon will be really happy about that though.
Yeah, right. One less person to behead though. So, well, actually, no, you guys found a replacement. I'm assuming.
Yeah. So there's still 17 people to behead after Mark Adam Haggerty. So
right, exactly.
He'll still be happy.
There you go. What else was I gonna ask?
Jay George. We were at a show once where Jay George sang his entrance theme for so long that the crowd started throwing stuff at him, and he loved every second of it.
Oh, he's the man.
I
love
it. The heat was just getting real. Like people started throwing beer cans, and like the promoter had to go and take the microphone out of his hand so that he didn't get killed.
I love Jay George so much.
How can you not? Like he's up for anything, and he doesn't half-ass it. He's one of my favorite guys to just follow. His promos, his social media presence,
Yeah. He just does so much different stuff that you really can't help but like he really is tough to ignore, and that's a good thing.
So yeah, so I wanted to talk like some specific matches, if you guys,
Sure, yeah.
if you guys don't mind. I wanted to talk real quick that the Nucleus 19. It's a cool idea. I love it. It's for the Nucleus Championship, and I mean some of the people in here are just nuts. I mean, we've had a slew of them on the show already.
Right.
Listeners will can attest to that. We have Isana on there. She's the only female in there, but I think she can be a force to be reckoned with in here. King Leon the Sixth, Chris the Hype Henry. When you guys are putting together a match like this, like what's going through your guys' minds? I mean, are you guys just trying to get as much like variety into this kind of battle royal?
Well, my concept was when I pitched it to Mike was I wanted to have a match with an equal number of debuts and also returns. Mm-hmm. So it's actually structured completely around maintaining that number. So it's 9 returns and 9 debuts and 1 return and debut, which is Mark Adam Haggerty, because it's a return, but it's also his in-ring debut. Okay. So he covers both. So then that makes up exactly the 19, which obviously sounds nice next to Nucleus. So
there's a nice ring to it.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's debuting in this match?
Oh man! All right, I want to try to test myself and see if I can actually remember this without looking at it.
Okay.
All right, so let me see. Debuts. We have Darwin Finch, who's coming all the way from California. We just actually dropped his promo today, and if you had, oh god, I'm glad you watched it because I love it so much.
So good. I've never even heard of him before. Watched the video and I was like, boom, instant fan. Love.
Yeah. He's out. Totally. He's out there at the Santino Brothers Academy, which is, I believe Brian Kendrick is involved with on some level, and yeah, he's an awesome guy. All right, so let me try to get back to my quiz here. So we got Darwin Finch, Chris the Hype Henry, we have Mike Gamble, the American Sumo, King Leon the Sixth, Isana. What am I at? 4 or 5?
That's 4.
That's 5.
All right, let me think here. Uh-oh. Did I hit a wall already?
I think you already hit a wall. Yeah.
It's all good, guys. We don't need to have a quiz on the show. It's fine.
All right. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
No game show sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Harmon used to do sound effects, and then I was like, "Please to God, stop that."
That's terrible.
Took them away from us.
Good. I'm glad that they did. I love the idea of the 6-state scramble. I love that that different states are getting represented. Very cool. We had the most marketable man, Richard Holiday, on the show, representing the fine state of Connecticut. And we tried to get him to just represent all of New England, but he wouldn't. Somebody on Twitter actually also like tried that out, and they said, "Oh yeah, I think Richard Holiday is going to take it for New England," and he said that he's representing himself. So not even Connecticut is getting getting the rub. Yeah, he's the man. I've become a huge fan of him as of late, and I just think I think he's got such a bright future. This match is going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. I love that the different states are represented.
I'll drop a main event podcast exclusive right here.
Boom.
Yeah. So that match is actually going to kick off the show.
Nice.
Because we figure it represents us in a sense. Like all these different people are coming together from different places, and it's actually all debuts for that match. So that's kind of like a special thing to start off with.
I love it. Very cool. That's gonna be a hot start right there. Yeah. Obviously, our boys coming down, the Maine State Posse. They're involved in an 8-man tag. That's gonna be sick, man. Those guys. I mean, I don't want to toot like our own horn. It's like, we really have nothing to do with it, but they're representing Maine. We're buddies with those guys. Those guys have progressed so like just leaps and bounds to what they were, even a year ago. Like they're just
Right.
killing it. Like they've captured Chaotic Championship like a couple times now, and they're so good, and they're just getting better and better as time goes on.
I feel like you honestly can't talk about the top up and coming tag teams right now without talking about the Mainstay Posse.
Yeah.
They just have to be a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? If you're looking to do something fresh with a tag division, I feel like that's like a no-brainer right there.
Right. And,
and I don't mean this in a cocky way about them at all, but just in the past like year and a half, because both of them, or not both of them, Danger Kid and Aiden both worked a lab show before they were together.
No, it wasn't.
Before?
I think it just so happens to be that they maybe had just gotten back together.
Okay.
But I booked them for singles matches.
Right.
So
right. But back to my larger point about that. But like you could see how they've grown more confident in themselves in the past 2 years, and they know that they can bring something fresh wherever they go. Like they just a few weeks ago at Innovative Pro, they were one of the hottest acts there, and they were in there with the Ugly Ducklings, and that's who they're going to be in there with again in 10 days.
Nice. And those are teams too that I have not seen before. I haven't seen the Ugly Ducklings or the Diamond Dogs or Ryan, and how do you say his last name?
Galleon, or I don't know if it's Galleon or Galleon. I think it's Galleon though.
I'm pretty sure it's Galleon.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them, so like I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see like new talent.
So, have you not seen the Ducklings like period? Have you watched any of their matches online or anything?
No,
I haven't seen them. I know.
Oh man, because
I drove up and did an interview with the Mainstay Posse about a year ago. And
right.
That was the team. They hadn't faced them yet. They were like the Ugly Ducklings are the team we want to face, and now they faced them a few times now. So.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like the match that they had against the Ducklings, which also featured Total Immortal, which was I don't want to butcher anyone's names, but it was Kevin Blackwood, Donovan Donhausen, I think is how you say his last name, and a guy by the name of Eddie Only. So it was basically like a three-way trios match.
Nice.
So and the Ducklings were actually a last-minute addition to the match, so they were not expecting to face the Ducklings at all. And then now there's a little bit of fuel to the fire for next weekend. So
is this going to be a straight-up tag match, or will this be like a Lucha Rules match where if somebody goes out, somebody can come in?
No, just a straight 4-on-4.
Yeah. And the interesting dynamic about the other team is that the Diamond Dogs and the Ugly Ducklings actually have faced each other. It was a Battle Club event, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Battle Club on back in March.
Right. So they faced each other, and this is kind of like a situation of seeing whether they can coexist as a team, having fought each other once in a pretty heated exchange.
Nice. Classic. I love it.
Yeah, because you got to think MSP's in the position where if Ryan Galeone's not working out, they can pretty much just ice him out. They can.
Well, I don't know about that because that dude is a monster. So I think he goes about 6'6", like legit, like maybe 6'7", and he is probably one of the strongest people that I've ever seen in the ring. I actually know Ryan for many years, and I've seen him do like insane things at training and whatnot. So
nice, very cool.
Yeah, and this match, like depending on the day of the week, and if you ask me, this is one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to. And depending on the day, I'll tell you it's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Nice.
This one's up there.
Very cool. One that I'm looking forward to is kind of a no-brainer. It's going to be just a spectacle. I think, you've got David Starr, who is just like one of the hottest indie wrestlers out there today, and then you got Ace Austin, who is like I said earlier, just on fire right now. Just debuted with Impact.
Guy's got a rocket up his ass for.
He does. He just debuted with Impact. And I mean, they're both fantastic wrestlers. I mean, and this is the first time that they've faced each other. It's going to be really cool to see just like really technical wrestling, ace bringing, kind of like that super athletic style.
Absolutely.
Cool match.
Yeah, the cool story behind that one too is that there's actually a lot of history between those two guys that a lot of people don't know. Because at one point, David Starr obviously was very much affiliated with CZW. Everyone knows that that's a big part of his past.
Right.
And then from there, he transitioned. He was all over the place, but also he sort of made a home at Rockstar for a little while. And the interesting thing is, like, Ace Austin came up through the Dojo Wars, path, and then started to kind of like get his feet wet with CZW before he made the jump to Rockstar. So it's like a weird thing where there's like a mirroring thing going on with their careers. And David Starr was actually served as sort of like a mentor to Ace Austin for a couple years. So this is a match that they've actually both wanted for a long time that just never happened.
Right. What better place to have it happen than wrestling?
Of course, man.
I think one of the more intriguing like storylines that you guys have going on right now is the match between Hippie Dickie Moon and Shane Mercer. It's like this grudge match. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first rematch ever in history, or in Wrestlers Lab with you guys?
Mike?
It might be the second. I mean, because technically Grimm, because the four-way last year from last August came down to Grimm and Tyler Matrix.
Okay.
And when we did the joint show with Legacy a few months later in December, we came back with Mr. Grimm and Tyler Matrix for the Nucleus title. But
right,
yeah,
but
this is the first
I wouldn't really
true rematch.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, yeah, for sure, and it totally deserves that spot, to be the first rematch, because it's a match that was put together knowing how good Dickie Moon is, not really being super familiar with Shane Mercer, but those guys actually opened up the show that their first match was on, and it was like one of those situations where it's like, how is the rest of the show going to follow that match? Because the sort of David and Goliath thing that they had going on was just so perfect. Like I don't think I've seen a David and Goliath match that I enjoyed more than that one. And Hippie Dickie Moon is like criminally unknown. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that as like a knock to him at all. If anything, it just like he needs to be in so many more places. And him standing up to Shane Mercer, despite the fact that Shane Mercer like completely obliterated him on 2 different occasions at this point, is just something that like I can't wait to see how that goes down.
Yeah, because the fans have pretty much forced your hand in this match. You guys didn't originally want this match to go on, right?
No.
Yeah,
and we certainly didn't want it to get out of hand. And given what's happened in the past, we needed a compromise, and a way to do that for them to be able for Dickie and Mercer to be able to get their aggressions out on each other, but still keep our hands clean of any liability, for lack of a better word. So we're not going to throw the rule book out, but it's going to be we're going to let them fight.
Yeah, it's relaxed rules.
Right, so that basically comes down to, for anybody that's never heard of a relaxed rules match, it's like referee's discretion. So basically, neither of those guys are permitted to get totally out of hand, but at the same time, like some of the more basic things, like strictly enforcing 10 count, or strictly enforcing the break at 5, things like that are going to be sort of like really lax, and we want there to be a clear-cut winner. That's the goal.
Nice. Yeah, I think people were wondering about that, the relaxed rules match. I know I was, so thank you for clarifying that. If I was wondering about like Come on, man. He's not going to break at 5, is he? Come on. Relax, rules.
Well, that's actually that's actually what caused the end of their first match, was that Shane Mercer was basically just destroying Dickie with these forearm smashes to the side of the head, and refused to break at the referee's 5 count and was disqualified. So that's the reason why Dickie Moon holds a victory over Shane Mercer at this point. But obviously, in his mind, that victory doesn't count for anything.
Correct, right. So let's chat about the main event, boys. It's going to be a hell of a one. The bad boy, Joey Janela, challenging the Hitman for Hire, Mr. Grimm, for the Wrestlers Laboratory Championship. Man, both these guys can bring it. I've seen both of them.
That order, because the cool thing, you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like Joey Janela challenging Grimm. Because that's what's happening. Obviously, it's
Right.
for the Wrestlers Laboratory Championship. But Grimm actually went out of his way to request this match based on their first encounter, which happened at Limitless. So Janela. Sorry about that. Janela actually defeated Grimm at Limitless, and that's sort of like a loss that has not sat well with Grimm ever since. So when it came time for us to announce that we were having our first solo show, and Grimm hit us up right away and did not request, he demanded that we put him against Joey Janela.
And you said, okay, because I don't want to end up in a body bag. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, who does?
That's how most of our conversation with Grimm go. We just don't want to end up in a body bag.
Right. Nobody does. When I first saw Mr. Grimm hit a spinning tombstone and then put a dude in a body bag, I was horrified. I was, but like in a good way. I was like, yeah, this is pro wrestling.
Yeah, no, he jumped out of his chair, was screaming, "What the hell was that?"
It was awesome. It was the cool. It's still one of the coolest things I've seen in person.
That and his pounce is mean.
Isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, his pounce is probably my favorite thing going on right now.
Did you guys see the one that he hit on Sugar Dunkerton at the last Battle Club show? Because he sent Sugar Dunkerton flying so far into the ropes that he basically got like guillotined from the back of his neck on the bottom rope.
Oh, goodness.
It was brutal, man.
Unbelievable. And then, so the bad boy Joey Janela, I mean, so hot right now in indie wrestling. His spring break is a hit like every year now, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, the dude's almost he's undeniably one of the biggest attractions in professional wrestling in general.
Yeah.
So like it's just an incredible chance to see our champion sort of test himself against somebody that has, in a way, like infiltrated the business the way he has. Because I feel like Joey Janela is like the personification of a hostile takeover. And like I just can't wait to see how those attitudes like clash.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be crazy. I don't think I'll be sitting down at all. So for that.
It probably won't be safe to sit down.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, has Joey Janela ever had a match that stayed in the ring?
No, come on. No way.
Maybe once.
Yeah.
Just once.
That might have been at like a Beyond show because he couldn't get out of the ring because the fans are right up against the ring. You can't move.
True. So Chris, Mike,
Somehow being suspended.
yeah, right. Before we let you guys get out of here, what do you guys? Any more information on Labnormal? Anything you guys want our listeners to know? Like, where can people grab tickets?
You got wrestlerslaboratory.com, which does have an events page, and you can grab the tickets on there because we've got the widget or whatever you would call it. But so it's also mainly available on brownpapertickets.com. So it's labnormal.brownpapertickets.com.
Excellent. And where are you guys on social media if our listeners want to follow Wrestlers Lab on social media?
Social media, we are at Wrestlers Laboratory on Instagram, at Wrestlers Lab on Twitter, Wrestlers Laboratory on Facebook and YouTube. And like Chris said, wrestlerslaboratory.com is the website. It has all of our past event history, upcoming events, and a maybe kind of complete roster of everyone that's come through the doors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, definitely everyone that's ever come through the doors. We're really, really proud of that roster page. The only thing that I haven't gotten around to doing yet is making each bubble clickable, which I'm planning to do so that each person will have like updated stats and whatnot. But the one person that is clickable is Mr. Grimm, and I think you guys know why. I think you know it's because if he wasn't clickable, I would have been in the body bag.
Yeah, it's not because he's a champ. It's because
Not because he was the first Nucleus champion.
No. It's strictly the body bag thing. I told him. I said when we roll this out, I want everybody to be clickable at the same time, and he said no. I'm clickable first.
Yeah, me first. Nice. Well, we're gonna have him on next week. We'll get to the bottom of that. We're gonna tread lightly, though. Tread lightly.
Yeah, please do. We want you guys to be at the show. So I mean, yeah, definitely be careful.
Yeah, I don't want to show up in a van and leave in a body bag.
Yeah, he's called our hotline before and left us.
Yeah. No. Harmon, you got anything else for Mike and Chris here?
Nope. Just everybody come on down to the Knights of Columbus, Bridgefield Park, New Jersey, Sunday, July 8th. What bell time's 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock, yeah.
Nice, very cool. Guys, anything else you want our listeners to know about the show before we let you run?
No, just thank everyone for listening. Thank you guys for having us. If it's just too far to get to, we get it. But just like keep a lookout for the VOD or for whatever we put up on YouTube, and we hope to see everyone at a future event.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And I gotta say to you guys, it's been a great relationship, kind of working with you guys.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, you guys have kind of given us a lot of content with wrestlers coming on and stuff. So we definitely appreciate that. You two have been great to work with, so I definitely appreciate that, man. I hold it close to my heart, man. This podcast is something that Harmon and I value very much, and when we meet cool people like you guys who are willing to just take flyers on us and kind of involve us at any amount, we definitely love it, so we appreciate it. So thank you guys very much.
Yeah, no, you guys are excellent partners. Honestly, like I wish you guys nothing but the most success possible because you're very good at what you do, and it's been a blast being on here.
Well, thank you very much. And like I said many times probably throughout this broadcast, but we are definitely looking forward to Labnormal, and we will see you guys there. We will. A handshake is definitely in order. And
yes, absolutely, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Have a great.
All right, man.
Yeah. See you.
You too, guys.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Can't wait.
So, what do you think, Johnny? You ready for next weekend?
Dude, after that, I'm even more hyped. Those guys are great. Those guys are really great. I mean, I didn't really need any selling on the show, but like for me, but I am sold even more. I'm so pumped about this show, and I'm pumped that we've been able to be a part of it, in some way. So, like I said, we're really appreciative that we could, kind of host some of their talent that's going to be on the show on our podcast. And it's just gonna be great, man. I love the networking side of wrestling. It's very cool to me. And yeah, so big thank you to Mike and Chris for coming on the show. Big thank you to them for putting on what will be a really awesome show. And I definitely look forward to seeing them out there in Jersey. So should be very, very fun.
Yeah,
very
I'm
cool.
excited to see the guys that we know, but I think I'm a little more excited to meet new people, the new guys that we don't know.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And that's like I said, the networking part of wrestling is really cool. You meet, there's so many people out there. You go to a show, you're just bound to meet someone new, and then hey, like they're a future guest on the podcast, or everybody's got a story. Everybody has something to share, and wrestling is self-promotion a lot of times. So these guys want to get out there and get their name out there. So it's a win-win. It's great, man. It's so damn cool. It's so damn cool to be a pro wrestling fan and to just be I don't even know what we are. We're not really in the business, but we kind of are in some weird way.
I know, right?
We're kind of like these.
That just goes to show you, like we've talked about it before, like wrestling is one of those things where you can get as involved as you want to be.
It's the best. So, Yeah, man. So I'm super pumped. So yeah, I definitely encourage anybody out there, if you guys are like on the fence about it, you shouldn't be. You should this show. I mean, you look at that lineup, it sells itself. It is crazy. So much talent on this show. It's so many up and comers, guys that you might not have heard yet, but I guarantee you will. In a year, you're gonna go, holy shit! I saw that guy wrestling for Wrestler's Laboratory like a year ago, and it's gonna be so cool to catch them before they catch on fire. So definitely go. Definitely get your
We've
tickets.
had that opportunity, in the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years ago, it was less than 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years. September? We went to our first independent wrestling show.
Yeah,
and it's changed our complete outlook on wrestling. We were just watching, the major stuff, and it was burning us the fuck out.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. No, and it's a whole new world. So it's great.
Whole new world. I mean, we've seen guys like Flip Gordon and Donovan Dijak and Brian Malonis and just all these guys that are now doing awesome things. And it's like
Lindsay Dorado, like right before he went to
Lindsay
WWE.
Dorado,
Very cool.
the night before. I mean, the next night he was on SmackDown or whatever.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. So yeah, man. All right. Holy shit. We got to get out of here. Harmon, where can peeps find you out on the web?
At Bub Harmon on Instagram. We're going with that first this time. I don't know why. I never posted anything. And then Twitter at Harmon316.
Where can people find you at 3 words? In 3 words. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I'm not giving that out.
Okay,
I almost did. You're a prick. You know that?
Yeah, we'll get more into that weird app later. I got to figure that out. What is it called? Words? Just 3 words?
What 3 words?
What 3 words? Harmon's trying to sell me on this new app that's gonna change the future. What 3 words? So we'll see if this
3 the number. Like what 3 the number words. Check it out. It's a crazy map app where it breaks down the entire planet into 10-foot squares.
You tell Harmon if he's crazy or not. You tell him that he's crazy. But hey, what do I know? It might catch on fire. It might be awesome. It might be Napster. Who knows?
Who knows? Hey, some days people are going to give wrestling event addresses out in 3 words. It's going to be like cat, birdhouse, Doritos. And that'll tell you exactly where to go.
That's some crazy location that already exists. I guarantee. Somewhere like
I don't think I can use Doritos. Tortilla.
No. Yeah.
I'm going to type it in now. See where it takes us.
Do it. All right. I am at Johnny Fashion on Twitter. We are at Main Event Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we're on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio. We got the hotline 929-260-3099. Feel free to give us a call, send us a text, ask us a question. We'll answer it on there. We don't give a shit. We'll give you a shout out for sure. Well, we promised you. We'll give you a shout out. You give us a call or give us a text on that number. We got the Teespring store with the brand new tank tops up. Look for a post, a very recent post. This is directing you there, a link that directs you there. We'll pin it to the top of our social media pages. So I promise you, cool design, Dalton Hemingway. Great job, buddy. Thank you so much. And that's about it. Where did your tortilla location end up? Nowhere?
If that wasn't a location. But if you go Cost Bride Tortilla, it takes you off the coast of Martha's Vineyard.
Very nice. Yep. Duly noted. Got to give a big shout out to the band Follow the Fox. They do our intro and outro for this podcast. Dylan and Sarah, they're based out of Denver, Colorado. You should follow them on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Follow the Fox Band. They also have a website, followthefoxband.com. Check them out any chance you get. If you just happen to be out in Denver, Colorado, or the surrounding cities there, check those guys out. They're playing all the time. They're a great little bluegrass band, and they did the intro and outro for us. And they're just super nice people. So tell them we sent you. And that's it, man. That's it. That's the show, brother. Big thank you to Mike and Chris for coming on. We're gonna see them on the 8th, and you guys should too. Listeners at home, you guys should too. So, all right, buddy, let's get out of here.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Harmon, thank you so much for joining me. As always, listeners at home, thanks for listening. We will catch you later.
We're gonna talk about wrestling.